Welcome to the fish tank.
Hey everybody, Fishman here. A couple weeks back I had built this little breeder box because a couple of paradise fish had spawned in one of my clients' tanks, and I really wanted to save the babies. And the way my rack system is designed, I can drain water from the top tank into the middle row tank, and it gives me a nice continuous water change, and then allows me to feed heavily, and I don't have to worry about pollution building up and all those fun things. Well, unfortunately for the paradise fish, being as small as they were, they just swam quite nicely right through the screen, and unfortunately I haven't seen any of them since. But as you saw in the videos with the platies, most fish babies are perfectly fine in this sort of style. But the problem is I wanted to make something for the 2,000 subs giveaway, and a couple people said they liked the breeder box and also suggested in the video last week that that would be something that they'd be interested in. But I wanted to make one that can have a continuous water change and also supply clean water to the babies and also prevent the same sort of buildup. So I came up with this idea. What it's going to be is a filtered breeder box. As you saw in the last clip there, it's just going to be a small box, and there's going to be a standpipe. It's going to lead down to a sponge filter. It's going to be air driven because, as in the 1K subs giveaways, a lot of people seem to have air driven systems, and I wanted to make it as generic as possible so that most people will have a good chance of being able to use this. So with that in mind, the materials I've chosen here, this standpipe is just ever so slightly more than 1 inch in diameter, and the nearest drill bit size I have is 1 inch, so it had to be pared down. The good thing is the lower bit I machined so it fits through quite easily, and then the top bit I can do as a friction fit. Now, as I was machining this, you can't machining acrylic is really not really recommended. It tends to melt and also mar like it does here, and but you can if you use really sharp cutting tools. Now I've already put the corrugations on this, and I need to cap it still, but I really didn't like how that looked, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to polish it all up. And the polishing process I'm going to go through here, all the steps are exactly the same as in the video I put up for polishing aluminum, and there's really no difference between the two. The only thing I'm going to do differently here that I didn't do in that video is I'm going to be really lazy, and I am going to use the lathe. The advantage of the lathe is it gives me a nice steady RPM, and I can very quickly go through this. I mean, obviously I'm cutting out a lot of the actual steps and whatnot because I want to keep this video reasonably lengthed, but it does make it a lot easier. The disadvantage is you have to be very careful. You can't grip too hard, especially with a coarser grit, because you'll end up taking off an awful lot of material and thinning the wall out too much. And also, if you grip too hard, the sandpaper can heat up quite a bit, and it gets really quite warm. The interesting thing about going through this process, especially at the beginning when I first started doing it, I wasn't actually entirely sure that I was going to be able to get it up to any kind of clarity. I mean, I have polished aquariums before, like acrylic aquariums that get them when you have scratches and that sort of stuff in them. But this piece of material it was pretty foggy. Way foggier than any aquarium I've ever had to clean before, and I wasn't exactly sure that I was going to get it to the point where the process was actually worthwhile doing. But as I went along, and especially at this point right here, I said, this time might actually turn out to be pretty good. I did notice though that there was a couple of pock marks in about midway down that I think I would have had to sand off a bit too much material to get rid of. And I didn't want to thin this out too much because, again, it has to go through shipping and stuff. So I do apologize to whoever ends up with this. It's not exactly perfect, but I think it's a good compromise. Like I said, I don't want it to get to wherever it's going to go and not be in one piece. That would not be good. So this is the final step. Well, it's the final paste, the second, the number 2. I think I did it 3 times. Again, like I said, I'm cutting out a few steps. The important thing is to make sure you switch claws between 2 and 3, or you really are just wasting your time. It does need to, if you have the other grid in there, obviously it's just common sense. So anyway, it turned out pretty good in the end. You can still, like I said, right there in the middle, you can see a couple of the pock marks still. But in my defense, like I said, I just wanted to make sure that this was going to remain structurally sound. And also near the top, you'll see that it's still a little bit of cloud there, but I couldn't sand that down and polish it, because if I did so, it wouldn't have a friction fit anymore, and I wanted to make sure that it fit nicely. So I'm going to move on to the part where I'm going to put the screen on. It's very easy to do. You just cut a piece of nylon screen, and then what I'm going to use to hold it in place is 1/16 inch thick acrylic, and then I'm just going to glue it in place. The reason why you go with such a thin material is I want to make sure that it has a flex to it, and that way the bit of a rise between the actual material and the screen, it'll have like a spring action to it, and it'll hold it in place. And then the rest of the acrylic, sort of the gluing process, is exactly the same for any other acrylic. You just allow it to wick underneath. And after this, all that's left to do is glue this panel in place, and I need to make a bracket to hold it into on any aquarium. And because I don't know who's going to win this, I don't know what size tank it's going to go on, whether it's going to be rimless or how big a frame it has or whatever. I'm just going to make the bracket a little extra wide, and then once the winner is chosen, I'll get in contact with that person, and I can easily make a small spacer to keep it vertical, because I find it just looks nicer that way. So we're getting down near the end here. I'm just going to hook this all up and get it running on the aquarium. I am actually going to run this for a little while, partially because I want to make sure I get all the kinks out of it, and also because I'm going to run this the same as I did for the 1K subs. Please comment below if you're interested in entering into the contest. Enter as many times as you want, and of course each entrant is a comment. And there's going to be a couple of changes I'm going to do this time, though. First off, I'm not going to ball up a bunch of pieces of paper and draw them out of a fishbowl. That took a long time. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to make a list. Everyone gets an entrant for each time they comment, and I'm just going to do a numerical draw. So I'll order them all, roll some dice or something, or get a random number generator, and pick the name that way. And the other thing is, unlike last time, this is only going to be open to subscribers. I got a lot of people who make regular comments and watch a lot of videos, and I just want them to have a better chance at winning. So once I get to about 100 comments, I'm going to probably close this out. Don't worry, I will announce the closure, and I will let everybody know, and then I'll do the draw. My air tubing got a little wonky here. It's kind of banana shaped, so I'm just using an air gun. The funny thing about air guns is you can use them to bend acrylic, or in this case, use it to straighten acrylic out. So the last clip is going to be this running on an aquarium. Like I said, I want to test it for a little while. I'm not entirely sure about the amount of air to run through it, but the air pump I have, this is the most I can put out. Sorry for the cloudiness of the water, but when I put this in there, the servants got really freaked out, and they stirred up a lot of material. But at least they'll see if the sponge filter works. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. It kind of runs really nicely. Like I said, I'm going to make some changes to it. I'm not sure whether an air stone in this would be better. I'm going to probably test that out as well. And then, like I said, I'm going to do a little bit of that sort of fine tinkering over the next little while, and we'll see how that goes. But it does actually get a fair amount of water flowing through this. I'm going to get a close-up at the end here. I'm not sure if it's sufficient enough flow, but then again, it kind of depends what kind of baby is going to be in this as well. But the nice thing about this, I think, with the valve and a better air pump, it is adjustable, so that's going to be kind of cool too. But anyway, that'll all be for a future video. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. and we will hopefully pick a winner and get this shipped off to them. Thanks again. Bye for now.